Hi, it's Lee, Fondant and Apron Strings, talking about the sweet life, and we're going to be airbrushing this cake to look like a galaxy cake. I'm just showing you little bits and pieces of the equipment we're using. I've obviously got a turntable, there's a 10-inch cake there. I think it's Victoria underneath that. We've got an airbrush, and I do like a dinkadoodle, always good. Got some airbrush paints and this fabulous box, which is a designer box with some lights on the top, just to and I'll talk about that in a little while. What we're going to do is use the airbrushing to make a galaxy cake. Oh God, look at those glasses over there. My goodness, everywhere. So I'm just testing the colour onto a piece of paper just to make sure that there's no leftover paint in there, even though I should clean it before I use it, which I do. This is the teal colour, and you'll see that I'm just going to very easily move the airbrush back and forwards so that it's a nice even coating. In fact, let me just tell you, I'm not really looking for an even coating here. I'm just looking for it to be some sort of shade. We're going to add lots and lots of shade and different colours, blues and blacks to this as we go along. I'm looking for block colour because I want it to be sort of dappled. So you'll see different layers of colour adding to it, and it's always best to do light layers than one big block layer, because we don't want the paint to run or to drip or anything like that. And that's why we use the airbrush, as we pull it back, in nice smooth strokes. So even though we're not going for a block colour, we're still going to be using very smooth strokes. The box is there just so I don't get airbrush paint everywhere. Now if you've got be very careful when you've got things like fans in. Oh, there's the light blue, we're going to be using that next. Fans and things near you when you're airbrushing, because the fans will suck the colour into them, and you'll find that any fans that you've got for cooling will suddenly be blue or gold or whatever colour you're doing. I'm using this light blue again. I tested it on the paper, just make sure it's coming out the colour I want it to, and I'm just going to sort of like go over the teal just to give it a little bit more depth. Can you see I'm not blocking the colour in, I'm just very gently moving the airbrush back and forwards just to give it some depth up and down. There we go. And then we're going to work on the top. Now we're going to put a spire on the top with this light blue, and I'll show you how to do that. So basically you pull the lever back on the airbrush, keep the airbrush still, and move the turntable around so you get that shape, and you can see it happening there. Okay, and I'm just doing it very lightly first time, just so I know where it's going to be, and then I'm going to go over that a few times with the light blue, just popping small paint in there. Okay, here we go, back into the centre again, and moving it around. So the turntable is the thing that's moving, not my airbrush, and that means that I can go over the same spot again and again and again, all the way to the edge. There we go. Let's do that again, get a little bit more depth, nice and deep there. And I want it to be quite a strong swirl. I don't know, maybe it just feels like the galaxy would be swirly. I'm sure Stephen Hawking would be able to tell us. And again, just another layer just to get some more depth to that. And as you get more confident with this, you'll be able to go quicker and do more things. But I'm just doing it very slowly because I'm showing you. I just filled up the airbrush again, just to finish off that bit there, all the way to the edge. Now I'm going to do down the side, so almost from where we ended at the top, we're going to go down and keep your airbrush still, and just move the turntable round. Nice, easy pull back on the lever. Can you see it's just starting to overlap there? All the way to the bottom, and of course it always runs out, so just fill it up again. And we're going to do that again. Find the beginning. You see there it is, the end of the top, and there's the beginning of the bottom. So here we go again. turning the turntable, keeping your airbrush relatively still. If you've got any questions, by the way, just send them in and I'll certainly try and answer them. All the way to the end. You see where it's swirled all the way around. Okay. I'm gonna do it again. Like I said, I'm always saying our cake cafe in Stanhope, which is a tiny little village in Weardale in County Durham, is a working kitchen. So we don't make very many dummy cakes. So all of the things that I'm showing you, the videos or the quick vids, they're all on cakes that will be that pre-ordered cakes. So they all have to be right first time. I'm just going to go over the top here again, just to give it a little bit more depth. So yes, so they all have to be right first time, because they're real and they're for customers. And which is why sometimes you'll see that, I have got really sticky fingers or paint all up to my elbows or on my face, which does happen a lot. Then we're going to go with some dark blue. Can you see? I think I've already tested there, but I'm just going to show you again the testing it just there, just to give it a little bit more. Now this again, like I told you before, we're just going to be building up some layers. So I'm going over the same swirly pattern, but also just making it a little bit thicker as well as a deeper colour. And it's looking good. And we're just joining up the edges as well, so all the way around. And also, can you see that it's not quite circle? I'm sort of like pulling back on the trigger quite with some bits to make some bits darker than others. Again, it's because I just happen to think that a galaxy would be like that. And then we're going to go with some black glitter, testing it on the paper. And then I'm going to go around the back to that pattern. But instead of just going on top of the blue, I'm sort of going in between and maybe splattering some bits and making them thicker in some parts than other. And you can just see how that's working. Just pulling back on the trigger. So not only moving the turntable round and round, but also moving the brush back and forwards as well. I truly believe that when people work with cakes, it's never truly, they're never truly clean. I get to work fairly early, and our cake cafe opens at 10 o'clock, but it can always guarantee that no matter what time I get in the morning, by the time we open at 10 o'clock, I'm always covered in something edible, and I think most people are who work with cakes. And we don't mind because we love it, which is very good. I'm just going round and round. Can you see just how it's getting more in depth? And it's getting darker. So even though we started with that lovely teal colour, it's now adding more layers to make it more spooky.
But thank you very much.
And I must tell you that actually, that I've done this on the 31st of October, which is Halloween. So when I say spooky, maybe I should be doing a pumpkin cake or something like that. There we go, and going around it again. And just keep doing that until you've got, until it looks how you want it to look. I don't want it to be black. I want to have the teal to come through, but I also want to see all the other colours coming through. And can you see I'm just showing you how to pull back on that lever? So pulling back, letting go, pulling back, letting go, to give you sort of the slight blotchiness, so it's not one you can coat with this. So back and forwards, back and forwards. So cool. And just keep going round and round and round. I've also just covered the board. That's a 10-inch cake, which I covered in white fondant, as you saw at the beginning. And the board is a 14-inch board, which I also covered with white fondant. And underneath our cakes, you should know by now that our cakes are covered in chocolate ganache, Belgian chocolate with double cream, and then we cover them with fondant just to, so all the decoration goes on top of that. Just something I like to do. I also think that chocolate tastes good. Okay, just finishing off with some warm black. Can you see the paint accumulated on the inside of the box? So this is just a box that I've taken the front off and the top off. So the lights sit on top of it, and it's wide enough to have a turntable inside. You can get very posh things to use, but actually I don't think you need to. I think sometimes you can just do what you like to keep the cost down. So that was the toothbrush you just saw. Yes, a very clean toothbrush. It's a brand new toothbrush that I just keep for painting, and that's some white edible paint, and I've dipped the toothbrush into the edible paint, tapped a little bit off, and then I'm just sort of like splurting it onto the cake. I think I'll show you in just a second how I'm doing that, which is why I'm always dirty. And you can see it looks like stars. There we go. Looks like a constellation of stars. And just keep splattering it on, pulling the brushes back. There we go, just like that. Have some fun with it. And the paint I've used here is white powder, edible powder, and I've mixed it with vodka just to get a nice consistency. So, but instead of using a paintbrush to put it on, we're using a toothbrush. And just keep doing that. And can you see how it's just splattering everywhere? And just keep dipping it in and tapping it off. You don't want to have too many big splotches. It's all about the little things. There are my fingers. There she blows. That's an example of us, or me, being dirty. Then dip in your get a paintbrush, dip it into the paint, and let's paint on some little stars. So that's just a little blob with maybe 4 shimmers coming off it, and just do that all the way around. Just fairly random. We're not looking for anything that's too specific. And as you can see by the timing of this, I think this is right now doing this, we're up to like 13 minutes. And I have cut this video down a little bit just because during the video I was going away and talking to customers and talking to staff and things like that. So, but this is actually in real time. So I think it only takes, it took me about 15 minutes to do this. But I would suggest that you practice on paper first, just like I showed you how to practice on, to test the edible paint on a piece of paper. What I would suggest is to roll out some fondant or gum paste onto a sheet, and then just practice making marks on it. That's the best way to do it. And there's so many things you can, effects you can get with airbrushing. It's such a cool thing to be doing, and it's really, really effective. So just practice. So there we go, going lots of little stars everywhere. before I used an airbrush, it used to be one of those things that I thought only other people would use or should use, people who are experts at airbrushing and, you know, artistic people. And I wouldn't say I'm particularly artistic, I'm a cake designer. So the way I got over the fear of using an airbrush was actually just to use that airbrush. And my airbrush of choice is the Dinky Doodle, and for no reason other than I think it's really, really easy to use. There you go. I've put lots of stars on the top and around. So please, thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe, please comment, please like, do all the things that you're supposed to do with YouTube. It's been great showing you this. I hope you liked it, and I shall see you very, very soon.